Hello and welcome to Drill and Kill. That's correct, my friend. This is where we drill until we kill all the mistakes. So, without further ado, let's get on to our first problem. And here we go with 3/5 minus 7/15. So, the very first thing I want to do is create my fraction box. And I will do that right over here. So now I want to create 5 parts, so that means I'm going to draw 4 lines. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines. Now I get 3 out of those 5, so I'm going to color in 3 of the 5. So I'll just color these 3 in right there, and bam, all done. Now I have 3/5 right there. Now I want to subtract 7/15, but I can't do that because this box is broken into fifths and I need to subtract 15ths. So the first thing I need to do is find my LCM, or my least common multiple. Thank you very much. So I've got 5 right here and 15 right here. I'll start by counting by 5s. 5, 10, and 15. Bingo, right there I have my least common multiple, which is 15. Super. So that means I'm going to cut this into 1, 2, 3 parts going up and down. 3 parts means 2 lines, so I'll go 1, 2, and now I have 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 times 5 gives me 15, and that's exactly what I need. Hey, I can just jump right in here because this is already into 15ths. So if I want to subtract the 7, I'm just going to cross out 7 of these bad boys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that leaves me with these 2 right here, right? And that's pretty simple. So I'm going to just go 1, 2, and that's out of the 15, right? So my answer already, I can see it, is 2/15. And that is lovely, my friends. Hey, but let's go ahead and look at what happens with the algorithm. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this problem as 3/5 minus 7/15. And then I'm going to have to multiply both of these by the giant 1. And make my 1 right there, like that. And now for this first one, I'm going to multiply it by 1, 2, 3. So 3 over 3. So just write 3 over 3 right in there. And for this one, I don't have to change it at all, so I'm going to multiply it by just 1. So 1 over 1. And that's going to just look like that. So super. Let's move on. 3 times 3 is going to give me 9 here. And then 5 times 3 will give me 15 right there. And now for this one, I'm multiplying both of these by 1. So I'm going to get the exact same fraction here, and 7/15. And now I am indeed ready to subtract. So I've got 9 minus 7 is going to give me 2. And then remember, you never actually subtract or add the decimals. What in the world am I talking about? These are denominators. Okay, you never add or subtract the denominators because that just tells us how many parts we've broken this box into, right? So I'm going to just drop that because it's still broken into 15 parts. And right here you can see my algorithm 2/15 agrees with my illustration right there of 2/15. And that, my friends, is always very cool. Hey, that's how you solve this problem. If you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all, my friends. Simply pause the video, fix your mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. And now let's move on to problem number 2. And here we go, 3/4 minus 5/12. So once again, first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and create my first fraction box. And then I'm going to make fourths, right? So that means I'm going to draw 3 lines. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 lines. Gives me 4 parts. Now I get 3 out of those 4. So I'm going to go ahead and color in 3 of those parts, right? So 1, 2, 3, and that's about right. There we go. So now I have 1, 2, 3 out of 4. I'm going to subtract 5/12 And since this is broken into fourths and I'm subtracting twelfths, hey, that's not going to work, my friends. So I'm going to go ahead and find my least common multiple. Superb. And so I'm going to write 4 right here and 12 down here. And then I'm going to count by fours. 4, 8, and bingo, 12 right there. I have my least common multiple. And that, my friends, is fantastic. Okay, so now that means in order to subtract 12s from this, I got to break this fraction box into 1, 2, 3 parts. 3 parts means 2 lines. So I'm going to go 1 and 2. And now, as you see, I've got 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, which is indeed 12. So now I just want to subtract 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I did that because of subtracting 5 twelfths, right? And that's going to leave me with these 4 right here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 out of the 12, right? So 4 twelfths is your answer, right? Now, let's go ahead and look at how the algorithm would look. And I'll do that right over here. So I'm going to go 3 fourths, and I'm going to subtract the 5 twelfths. And then I got to multiply both of these by the giant 1. And I got to get my multiplication sign in there. And now for this first one, I'm going to multiply it by 1, 2, 3. So 3 over 3. And for this one down here, I'm going to multiply it by just 1, right? So 1 over 1. And that's going to give me, actually only one new fraction because this one's going to stay the same. But 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. And then 3 times 4 is going to give me 12. 5 times 1 is 5. And 12 times 1 is 12, right? So now I'm ready to subtract. And I'm going to just go 9 minus 5 is going to give me 4, right? 4, and that's twelfths, right? So 4 twelfths, as you see, agrees with our illustration right, right up here. I had the wrong little icon there. Started moving the whole thing. So 4 twelfths and 4 twelfths. Hey, I'm going to tell you one more thing here. This actually can be reduced. So watch how I do that. I'm going to use the giant 1 again. And I'm going to take the 4 twelfths here, and this time I'm going to divide by the giant 1, right? And the reason I can do that is because 4 goes into 4, right? And one time. And 4 can also go into 12, right? So I'm going to divide this by the giant 1 of 4 over 4. And this will just simplify the answer. It's the same answer. You're not changing the amount of boxes you've got, but you're just changing the way the fraction looks, right? So 4 divided by 4 is going to give you 1. And then 12 divided by 4 will give you 3, right? So I'm going to just write the 3 there. So this is the simplified form, or the most reduced form. So 4 twelfths can be reduced or simplified to 1/3. And hey, that is the problem. Hey, if you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all, my friend. Pause the video, fix your mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. And now, let's move on to our third problem. And here we go. We have 5 6 minus 5 18ths. And the first thing I got to do is go ahead and create my first fraction box, right? So I'm going to do that right here. And then I'm going to draw, since this is broken into 6 parts, I'm going to draw 5 lines going across this way. And here we go. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lines. Gives me 6 parts. Now I get 5 out of those 6, so I'm going to go ahead and color in 5 of the parts, right? So I'm going to just come up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 parts, right? Come straight across and center that. And doesn't, it's a little bit off right here and here, but it does its purpose, right? Okay, so you can understand we've got 5 out of 6, right? And I'm subtracting 5 18ths. Well, I don't have 18 parts here, so I'm going to have to find my LCM. So I'm going to do that right over here, and I'm going to find my least common multiple, and I'm going to write 6 here and 18 right there. And if I start to count by sixes, I get 6, 12, and bingo, 18 right there. Superb. So that means I'm going to break this box into 1, 2, 3 parts, right? So I'm going to go 1, 2 lines gives me 3 parts. I got 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is 18, right? And that's exactly what I needed. Hey, so now I can just go right here because these boxes are cut into 18ths, or this one box is cut into 18ths, and I'm subtracting 18ths. I'm actually going to subtract 5 of the 18, right? So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are gone, right? And now these are left. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 18ths, right? So that right there, my friends, is actually your answer, and that is lovely. 10 18ths. Now let's go ahead and see how the algorithm works, and I'm going to do that right over here. So I'm going to write 5 6 minus 5 18ths, and the first thing I got to do is multiply both of these by the giant 1. And here we go. So for this first one, I'm going to multiply by 1, 2, 3. So 3 over 3. And for this second one, I'm going to just multiply by 1. So I'm going to multiply by the giant 1 of 1 over 1. And that will actually keep this fraction here the same, right? So 5 times 3 is going to give me 15. And then 6 times 3 will give me 18. And interesting, because that's exactly what I got colored in green here, right? 15 18ths. And now I'm going to subtract the 5 18ths, and I've got to go 5 times 1 is 5, 18 times 1 is 18. So that's going to stay exactly the same, right? And now I'm ready to subtract. So I'm going to just go 15 minus 5 is going to give me 10. And then remember, you never add or subtract the denominators, right? Because that just tells us how many parts we've cut this box into. So that's going to stay the same as 18. And bingo, right there, 10 18ths agrees with 10 18ths. However, a key here is that when you have two even numbers, your numerator is even and your denominator is even, then you know right away that you can simplify that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and simplify it and show you how it's done. I'm going to take 10 18ths and I'm going to divide that by the giant 1 of, since 10 is even and 18 is even, I can divide by 2 over 2, right? So the giant 1 of 2 over 2. 10 divided by 2 is going to give me 5, and 18 divided by 2 is going to give me 9. And that right there is your simplified form. I need to write my equal sign, don't I? That is a simplified fraction of 10 18ths, right? Or where it's reduced to its simplest form, right? So this is actually your correct answer right here, 10 18ths. But to get a little extra bonus, you should have reduced that to its simplest form of 5/9. And that, my friends, is how to solve this problem. Hey, if you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all. Pause the video, fix your mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. And now, let's move on to our fourth and final problem of this video. And here we go, 1/3 minus 2/9. Okay, so first thing, as always, I must create my fraction box. And there we have it, my friends. Okay, so here I'm going to create thirds, which means I'm going to draw 2 lines. So I'm going to go 1 and 2 right there. And then I get 1 out of those 3. So I'm going to color in just one of those boxes, right? So I'll color that one right there. And there you have it, right? So now I've got 1/3 here, but I can't subtract 9ths, right? So the first thing I got to do is find my LCM, which stands for least common multiple. So I'll write 3 right here, and then 9 right there, and then I'll count by threes, right? 3, 6, and bingo, right there. 9 is your least common multiple. Perfect. Okay, that means this box needs to be broken into 1, 2, 3 parts. 3 parts means 2 lines, so 1, 2. And here you see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 parts. So now I can just go ahead and subtract those 2 ninths, and I would do that by crossing this out and crossing this out, and that leaves me with 1 out of 9. So 1/9 is your answer, right? Okay, fantastic. That's your answer, but what does your algorithm look like? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. I've got 1/3, and I'm subtracting 2/9, right? And the first thing I got to do is multiply, not equal, multiply both of these by the giant 1. So I'm going to multiply both of them by the giant 1. And for this first fraction, I've got to multiply by 1, 2, 3. So the giant 1 of 3 over 3. And then for this one down here, it's already in ninths. And as you see, I just got 1, right? So I'm going to multiply this by the giant 1 of 1 over 1. So 1 over 1. And now that's going to give me a new fraction up here. 1 times 3 is going to give me 3. And right here, 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. And as you see, that's exactly what I've got here. I've got 1, 2, 3 before I cross these out. 3 out of the 9, right? And that's very cool. Okay, so now I've got 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 9 is 9, and this fraction really stays the same. So now I'm ready to subtract. So I'm going to just take this and go 3 minus 2 is going to give me 1. And then remember, you never add or subtract the denominators because that just tells us how many parts we broke this box into. So I'm going to simply drop that 9 right there. And as you see, 1/9 agrees with our illustration right here of 1/9. And that, my friends, is super cool. Hey, if you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all. You know by now. Pause the video, fix your mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. Until next time, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you soon.